What if the person everyone around you knows isn't actually you? Not because you're lying. Not because you're broken. But because somewhere along the way, you learned that the real you wasn't quite safe enough to show. There's a word for this: masking. And if you've spent most of your life feeling like you're performing a role in a story you didn't write, this might be the most important thing you watch today. Think about the last time you walked into a room full of people and felt yourself shift. Not tired like you'd run a race. Tired like you'd been someone else all day. They mirror other people's expressions. They rehearse conversations before having them. They laugh when others laugh, not because something was funny, but because laughter is the correct response. But here's what the research is beginning to confirm. Masking isn't only a neurodivergent experience. It's a human one. Because we are all, to varying degrees, shaped by the same fundamental fear that if people saw us fully, they would leave. The tragedy isn't that we mask. The tragedy is that we do it so well, for so long, that we eventually stop knowing what we were hiding. There's a particular kind of identity crisis that doesn't look like a crisis from the outside. You're functioning. You're achieving. You're telling people you're fine. And it sounds convincing, because you've been practicing that line since you were 8 years old. But somewhere underneath the performance, there's a growing sense of unreality. Like you're watching your own life through glass. When the world stopped, when the commutes ended, and the social calendars cleared, and the noise fell away, millions of people sat alone with themselves for the first time in years and discovered something unsettling. Because the self that emerges when no one is watching, that self had been waiting patiently behind the mask. And it had things to say. Here's the question that changes everything. When did you first learn that parts of you were unacceptable? Maybe you were a child who cried too easily, and you learned that tears made adults uncomfortable. So you stopped in public. And so you masked, not as a failure of character, but as an act of profound intelligence. Masking is adaptation. It is the self doing exactly what it was designed to do: survive. The problem is that survival strategies outlive the situations that created them. The mask becomes the face. This is not a video that's going to tell you to just be yourself, because that advice, however well-meaning, ignores the real work. What you can do is begin the slow, patient practice of noticing. Noticing when you shift. Noticing what triggers the performance.
That noticing is not weakness. It is the beginning of returning to yourself. Leave it in the comments. You might find that someone else has been carrying the exact same thing, waiting for someone else to say it first. Because that's the other thing about masks. They're loneliest when you think you're the only one wearing one. You're not.